Welcome back, everybody, to the Thrive After Sports podcast. It's your boy Taj Deshawn, joined today by my man Jerry Hubshman. What's going on, Jay Hubs?
What's going on, Taj? How's everything going?
Everything's great, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm glad we were able to finally coordinate schedules. This is a busy man, we're both busy. I had to get in touch with my man Jay Hubs to make sure he came on the podcast and shared. It's funny how life works because for anybody listening right now, Jay Hubs is what? You were a sophomore when I was a senior, right?
Yeah, I got
Or
to
is it
Stony. I got there in 2011.
okay? Yeah, so 2 years. Okay, yeah, 2 years behind me. So
Yeah.
the last memory I have of Jay Hubs, this was the long hair Jerry with the
Hmm.
freestyling. That's the last memory I have. And then we lost touch for a while, as you lose touch with people from college. I look up on LinkedIn one day. I see this guy's the assistant athletic director at Hofstra University. So I'm just like, wow, man, it's funny how time flies. Jerry's on his grown man business now. But it was great catching up with you the other day, man. And I really wanted to have you on to come and share because there are a lot of people, as you know, a lot of former athletes, especially people that I've been working with, they want to get into athletics. And I think some
Yeah,
of
for
that is
sure.
just being comfortable. Like they feel like they'll be comfortable around it. And some of it, they will be, they really are passionate about that type of work and want to serve in the capacity that you serve in. They just don't know how to get started. So let's just talk. Let's take them back to the beginning, man. You graduate from Stony Brook, football career wraps up. What happens next? What was life like after you hung up the jersey for the last time?
So yeah, a lot's happened since we've been hanging out at our college house, freestyling, doing stuff like that. But the doors close, right? And they close quickly, man. You have your 5 years playing. Unless you're good, unless you're very good, you don't redshirt. But pretty much everyone has those 5 years. You think they're never going to end, and the door doesn't shut slowly, man. It slams, and reality hits quickly. So I was in an interesting position where I graduated in 4 years, and then my fifth year, the year I was captain, I wanted to start working towards a master's, and our coach gave me the opportunity to do so, and then I had to do an internship essentially. So what I did was I went and I volunteered in the weight room and in our development office, working with alumni, things like that. And it's about connecting with people, right? So you say that there's a lot of people out there who want to get in athletics. I don't know if I was really looking to be in athletics as much as that's where my network was, right? Like back home, there's not much for me in the professional world, right? So I make a network out at Stony Brook, and I just kind of see these different paths of life that people are doing in different departments, and I just kind of wanted to latch on and learn as much as I could. And this is interning, man, working for free. And I know people hate to hear that. What it's like, to be great, to work your way up to the top, you need to start at the very bottom. And it's just like football, it's like redshirting, right? So that's how I treated it. I worked for free and I learned as much as I could. And then I made a connection with someone in the department who wanted me to come work for him full time. And that's kind of where my journey started. I was working part-time in the ticket office. And as the years go on, your team's successful with projects. People, you move with people. It's very much a people business. And my boss has kind of brought me with him. And it's awesome. So it's really the network, that I found that I wanted to be a part of. It just happens to be, that I work in athletics and I have the opportunity to give back to guys like you and I in 2011, 2012, which is the cool part because we didn't know it at the time, but we had people ahead of us giving back to help us. You know what I mean? So it's cool to work with, and I'm a people person, as you know. It's cool to work with people every day, man. That's my job is going out, getting meetings, talking to alum. I love that. I love to learn. I love to hear people's stories, especially how they got to where they are. And like I said, it's really cool. But, there's a part to be spoken about that, year when you're out of college, and it's scary because you have no idea what the future brings, like, and I remember when I was working for free at Stony Brook interning, and then I was working in a pizzeria to pay bills. And you have those moments where you're like, man, I hope I'm not in a pizzeria forever, and then you just keep moving and just don't take any steps back. And eventually, you get that breakthrough, you get your foot in the door, and then you could, blow it out of, you could do whatever you want. But there's something to be said about that year transition where you're scared, you're still a kid. I don't care what you say, 21, 22 years old, you're a kid still. And all of a sudden now you're on your own. You get and you don't know where to go, right? Like it's wild.
Yeah, man. Talk about that year-long period, because it seems like obviously you know how to do all the right things. Like you said, you're a people person. You know how to connect with people. You know how to whatever role you're in, even if you're working for free, like you said, leverage that experience, put in some hard work. But I mean, is that just something that was in you naturally? Did you learn that from somebody? How did you start to develop this mindset to where I'm just gonna put my head down, play it smart, connect with people?
I think it's football, dude. I really think everything that my work ethic, my time management, it's football, man. Like you remember those days where we would take the bus in the spring to off-season running. Remember on Mondays and Wednesdays? Dude, alarm hits 4 a.m. And if you're not on the bus, that is bad, So there, you learn these things, and now you do that for 5 years, and now all of a sudden that's nothing. Like the alarm goes off, and it's whatever, and then you get to a point where you're in a position where you could make an impact, and you need to do all the right things. It's just about, you want to be the first one into work, that's fine. You want to be the first one in the weight room, right? You wanted to be the first one out at practice. Like there's things like that I've learned from football that just, it's going to be with me for life, man. And I don't care. There's going to come a point where I haven't played football in 50 years. I'm still going to see myself as an athlete, just because I have that mindset, as you do. I know, like, you're a go-getter, man. You're type A, like I'm always going to see it that way, just because football is, it brought us so many great things in life. It really did.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely want to touch on something you brought up where you were talking about the impact. Like that's one of the things that drives you, because, and I'm speaking to someone specifically right now. He knows who he is because we had a conversation about this last week. I just started working with him. He wants to be in athletics. He said he wants athletic director. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like I said, I keep hearing you come back to impact. Or it's about you wanting to have an impact and get back to the players, like you said. So when someone is looking to map out what they want to do, and like you said, we have that type A, that go-getter man. When you're looking to apply that to something, to take guys off of and be able to focus where you can party and make a contribution.
Yeah, that's how I was when I got in, right? Like I wanted to be an athletic director. Well, that's somewhere between a 20 to 50 year journey, right? So you think, I want to be an AD. All right, well, that's great. But what do you want to do in those 20 to 50 years before you get there to make an impact? And there's so many different departments in athletics, and in so many different institutions, different job types. There's always multiple departments. There's internal departments, there's external departments, and it's really just about finding out what you enjoy best. So I was lucky. I had the ability to intern for football in the weight room. So anywhere between 5 and 9 a.m. in the weight room for football. I'd go to our development office, work for my boss, and I call it work. It's really just interning, but go with him for, anywhere between 6 and 8 hours a day, go back and train baseball. And I learned different things about what I wanted to do, right? I learned I don't think I wanted to be a coach, but I don't know if I would have learned that if I didn't go do it. So I left football and was like, I miss football so much. If I didn't get into coaching immediately, maybe I would have always had that regret, not knowing that it wasn't for me anyway. And then what I ended up doing in the development office is, like I said, it's working with alumni, it's people, it's going out and getting meetings. So I love that, just because I love going and meeting with people. So it's just something I got lucky. I realized early what I wanted to do. And some people don't realize that early. It takes time, and you can't compare your journey to anyone else's. You could see people's highlights and things like that, but you're by yourself when you're working on your own scenes, so that's like I said, I got lucky. I found what I like to do, and then I just embraced the role. That's all you can really do. Just fall in love with what you do. And now, like, I'm the guy who loves going to work. I love going to work, and that sounds weird as a young person to say, but I love it. Like, I love going to work. I love the games. I love the atmosphere. And it's just because I know our team is putting a great effort in to change the lives of kids in positions that I was once in. So that's what's really cool about me. And that's why I love making an impact.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, J Hubs. And I love that you shared that you actually love what you do and you love doing the work. And that was intentionally designed too. You know what I mean? You put yourself in that position to be able to get there. Because you and I both know how many people, not just former athletes, but just people around the world, do not enjoy what they do. They hate what they do. So And I think it comes from, I mean, let me ask you this. When you were still playing, was there any sort of preparation work done to put yourself in this position, or did it all happen after the fact? Like you said, just kind of, following people and sticking to what brought you to life, what was true to you. Do you feel like there were ways that you were preparing, or do you feel like there were ways that you could have prepared yourself more?
Yeah, yes and no, I would say. So, I was preparing myself subconsciously by doing the things we spoke about, right? By waking up, by trying to be the first person there. You're training yourself subconsciously when you're doing that. That is preparation. You just don't think of it as I'm waking up now so I can know this skill in 30 years. It's like, no, I'm waking up now so the rest of
Right.
the offensive line doesn't have to run if I'm late to practice. But you're
Right.
preparing yourself in ways that you don't think about, right? And but when it comes to actually sitting down and thinking like, this is what I want to do, no, dude, that didn't happen until the door was shut on football, and I was just in Long Island, like, what am I doing? Like, what does the future bring? It's all like, and I remember it was almost Christmas. We just graduated, and I'm like, wow, like I have a semester, a semester and a half of my master's, and it's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but having those skills, and they're not even skills, I guess they're just things that I've learned, time management, things like that they just apply, right? So then when I got my foot in the door, I made sure I was the first one there. I'm still young in my career. I've been working in athletics for 5 years. I'm still like on the bottom of the totem pole. I still feel the need to get there first, leave last. I feel like I still need to make an impact, just because you can't ever feel comfortable, man, ever. Even when you get to you want to be an AD, that's great. If it takes 50 years and you get there, still can't be comfortable. You need to keep grinding. You need to keep focusing on moving forward. As soon as you stay still, someone else is passing you, and that's life. And you know what I mean? There's just nothing. You can focus on your own lane and keep moving. As soon as you stop, it doesn't matter. Everyone else is going to pass you.
You're the prime example of what it looks like to thrive after sports, man. That's why I wanted to have you come on here, because, sorry, go ahead. There's a little bit of a delay. I'll just cut this part out.
No, if there's one thing I could say about preparing earlier that I wish I could have done, is make a bigger network than I had at that age. There's nothing wrong with being a 21-year-old and walking into the senior associate athletic director's office, he might be 50 years old. Who cares? Go in and pick his brain. And I feel like not enough people do that, and that's outside of athletics, not just there. I just feel like people don't connect enough. Then they're almost too scared to make that step to go in, and I know that because I was scared to do it. You were scared to do it. Everyone is, but you just get to a point where you have to move forward in life. And those are people start to catch on, like, Taj has been in my office asking questions twice this week. Like, maybe let's see what his plan is. He seems kind of confused. And then you have a conversation, hey, I like working in graphic design. Interesting. Well, our sports information department has this internship that, you could work with graphics, things like that. Why don't you check it out? And then you're building a network, right? Just by having these conversations, by connecting with people. But it's scary, man. I'm not saying that I did it easily. Like, it's scary to go talk to someone you don't know. And but that's how life is, that's how it is.
Right. Yeah, man. And I wanted to ask you too, what are some things that some programs, I know you talked to me about a few different initiatives that you're actually spearheading over there at Hofstra. What are some things that you've seen with improvement, all the things that you're talking about, improving just the overall experience of the student athlete in terms of encouraging them to network, creating different opportunities for them, different ways for them to start getting ahead of the game early? What are some kind of things that you got going on over there just individually? And then what are some things you've seen as a whole?
So, and this isn't specific to where I currently work, but I think two major improvements that we've had at the Division I institutional level are academics and mental health. And I think that, we've had those scary moments where we leave, but, it was almost those things were almost looked down upon as men, men shouldn't be asking for help. Well, why? Men get scared and confused too, so many institutions have connections with any sort of mental health specialist, whether it be doctors, whether it be just someone to speak with. We put so much on our shoulders as athletes, so much that there needs to be some sort of outlet, and you can't let it. Some people let it build up, and sometimes you can't do that. So I love the fact that as a country, and maybe even the world, we're putting that emphasis on mental health and giving the athletes the resources they needed that maybe weren't there in the 1980s and the 1990s, or maybe even when we were there. And the same with academics. you're a student athlete, and you're not an athlete without being a student, at least at the college level, to go professional. And the emphasis that colleges, especially the ones that I've worked at, have put on academics is amazing. The school where I'm working right now, 100% of our teams had over a 3.0 GPA. That is amazing. That's great. And to see the emphasis on academics along with, those mental health, it's great to see, because I know it's just going to make the experience better. Maybe it helps with retention. Maybe it helps with team bonding, keeping guys together, keeping women together. That's just, I love seeing the emphasis on those two. And I think they're going to continue to improve, but those are two great departments essentially that are putting a major emphasis towards student athletes.
Hey man, well, congratulations on being part of that. That's the big deal. Like you said, you don't see that a lot with any program, let alone a D1 program, let alone with the football team. Or you said all athletes, right? It was all athletes.
Yeah, no, it was our whole athletic department, every team, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
you're going down in the history books for that one, man. Props to you for your contribution to that. I know you played a huge role in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really work in either of those departments, but the cool thing is we're a team, right? And we share success, right? So I work on the fundraising side. When we generate a lot of revenue, the team is happy, right? When all of the teams have that GPA, the whole team is happy, right? So it's everyone, when you embrace your role and you're a star in your role, it gives everyone the opportunity to just be great in moments like that, and our academic team is hands down, I've never seen anything like them. They're amazing. And they really help the kids learn. It's not about going and sitting in study hall for 2 hours, because that, it's just, sometimes things like that could be unregulated, right? Like, our academic team helps our kids learn. They help them sit there and learn. It's not about just being there and being babysat for 2 hours. Like, they help them learn and succeed, and it's awesome to see. I love it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And another thing I wanted to get to ask you was, a lot of people who listen to the show, they're trying to figure out. This is part of the reason why I started bringing on more guests, more former athletes who do different things, whether they're business owners, whatever they do in their careers. But I don't think, unless I'm forgetting somebody, so forgive me, I don't think I've had anyone on here who is actually an athletic director or an assistant AD. So just for the people listening, can you just give a glimpse into the day in the life of an AD? Because I don't want people thinking that you just show up and you shake hands with the mascot and you get to go to all the games and you just get paid for doing that. Like, there's some work that goes into it, man. So can you talk about a day in the life of an AD or an assistant AD? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, so our boss at the top, he's the president, he's the CEO he's the captain of the ship, right? So he oversees everything, every single department he has a say in. And it comes down to time management, right? You can't focus on one department more than the other. You need to make sure you're generating revenue. You need to make sure you're marketing correctly. You need to make sure that your team's academics are on point. There's so many different departments to oversee. But like I said, that 20 to 50, year journey, you learn about all those in that journey. It's not something you learn overnight. So, to get to that level, you need to be dedicated. And like I said, I'm only 5 years in. Our vice president, director of athletics, he's, I believe, 50. It took him a while to get there. It took a lot of learning and working with those different departments. But for me, a day in my life is trying to get as many alum as we can to give back and help, whether that's helping our student athletes, network, maybe get them mock interviews, internships, things like that. And then if they can support financially, that helps as well, and that's the department I work in, essentially, is philanthropy, personal donations. So I'm just making calls, getting to know people, and listening to their stories, right? Like, that's the cool part, is I get to connect with so many people, and just, they love to talk about their time when they were at, their school, when they were playing their sport. It's cool to hear and learn. And, they're the folks who help drive the department forward. They support the athletes who they once were, and they help drive the department forward. So my job, right now I'm on Zoom with the pandemic, but, going and getting lunches, coffees, just meetings to go chat with people and get them involved in the program. And that's how you drive that's how I can be a star in my role and drive everything forward from our department.
Did you ever see yourself being in this position, man?
I really didn't see myself in this position. No, like I said, I was, at a pizzeria, and I'm thinking, I hope I get an opportunity somewhere to show that show my value, show my worth. And I never, there's times where you never think you're going to get there. Like you've said, that year, you think it's all over with. You're like, man, I'm a failure. Like I'm not. Why aren't I a CEO or a vice president yet? Like I have this degree. I have the, look, my degree. I earned this. Why can't I be there? And you don't ever see yourself succeeding, because sometimes those days are so dark. You're like, I don't know if I might work 60 hours a week at a pizzeria for the rest of my life. There's nothing wrong with that. By any means, there is nothing wrong with that. I just knew that in my journey, I didn't want to do that. And I didn't see myself in the position I am now, because I was just so clouded with, I guess, false negativity, right? Like telling myself I couldn't do it when I very well could. You just have to put in your time. You're a red shirt again, except football, you're red shirt for a year. In your career, you might red shirt for 5 to 10 years, because you're on this long journey. That 1 year in comparison is probably more like 2 to 5 in athletics, in a setting like that. But you need to learn as much as you can, and you need to be present as much as you can. There's nothing wrong with working 60 hours. We have those weeks where we have games Saturday, Sunday. You're in the office 5 days a week. But if you love it, that time flies by. Like you embrace it and you love it, everything is great. But you need to learn, and you need to be that red shirt again. You need to swallow your pride, because especially like, you come out of football, senior year of college, you think, oh, I was a football captain, like everybody's going to want me to work for them, right? Nope. Nobody wants you to work for them because you were a football captain. People are going to want you to work for them because you've put in time to intern and to work your way up the ladder. You just have to get your foot in the door. So to answer your question, I didn't see myself in this role. And I try not to look too far ahead, just live in the moment and work in the moment as much as I can. You plan for little things here and there. But no, definitely not when I was working at Luigi's did I see myself, working with the best boss in the world. No, seriously, like it's great. Like I love my boss. I love my job. And I never saw myself in this position. Now I don't even really look to the future. Like I don't even think about other jobs. I don't think about applying places, because I just love where I'm at so much. I'm like, this is like, I love it. This is amazing, and I have to embrace it, because I know there's people who go their whole lives and don't find jobs they love. And to be in a job I love, I have to embrace every minute, because it could be gone tomorrow. This pandemic could shut down everything or anything. Like, I'm just using the pandemic as an example, but things could get shut down like that. Now you're back to square one, so you have to embrace and love every minute of it while you have it. If you're lucky enough to have it for the rest of your life, that's great. If not, you need to enjoy those moments, because they could be gone. They could move on, but they could be gone.
Man, J Hubs, there's so much, you're dropping so many gems, man. But just off the top of my head, one of the things that you're really talking about that I love is being a red shirt again, man. I really love that you touched on that. That might be the title of this episode, be a red shirt again, or, you're a red shirt in life. But I think grasping that concept is so big, man, like you're saying, because we want to come out and we want to be top dog, and we think that the world owes us something, when in reality, like you said, we're starting over. You got 2, 3, 4, 5+ years ahead of you to work, to put yourself in a position where you can even be thriving again or doing something that is fulfilling to you. And it's funny because the past few episodes that we've had on the show, this theme keeps coming up. I used to say that you can find something that's just as fulfilling as your sport, but I'm starting to evolve that through the conversations I'm having, man. It's almost like you can find something that's more fulfilling, right? And obviously, it's apples and oranges. Where you going into the office and having an impact or bringing some ideas to the table is different from, pancake blocking somebody, right? So that's two different worlds. But at the same time, it sounds like you've reached a place in your life where you're not dwelling on the glory days. You're not, oh man, I wish I could still play football, because you're more excited about what's ahead of you than what's behind you, man. And if we can get former athletes out of that mentality to really start to look toward the future and get excited, and that changes everything, So
yeah, 100%. Like you talk about redshirting, when you and I became friends, like we spent so much time together for the first semester that we met, that like you just have to be friends, and it turned into great memories immediately, right? But in real life, it's not 5 years, it's like, it could be 70 after you graduate, so you can't do everything as quickly. So building up for that 2 to 5 years, it might take even longer, but like you said, the world doesn't owe you anything, man. And it's a hard concept to grasp, but then you realize if you work towards it, what gives back to you is so much greater for the rest of your life than it is compared to those 3.5 years that you got it as an upperclassman, but like you said, two different worlds, two different vibes, two different feelings. But it is cool in life because some things are even like, you think nothing can be as great as football, right? Remember when we went to Army, we beat Army. It was the first time we ever beat an FBS team in Army. That was so cool. Like, that was seeing the cadets there. It was such a cool experience. You think like things don't get better than that. Dude, they can get a lot better than that, but you have to build your own journey, to get there. You got to do it yourself, but things could be so much cooler. You just need to work on it and chip away at it. Eventually those things come.
Man, we get in the interview right there. You just knocked it out the park with that one, man. I wanted to talk to you about this. When you look back, and obviously there's probably a million things you could say, but I know that by you going through this kind of mental process, you can help someone else with this. So if you got, 23-year-old Jerry in front of you, he's working at Luigi's, whatever, he's coming home, like, this can't be life. If you could give him a few words of wisdom, what would you tell young Jay Hubbs?
Just keep working. That's it. Just keep working, man. I'm a firm believer that no hard work goes unnoticed. It might take a while, man. It could take a while, but just keep working. Keep chipping away. I like to think of it as you get one experience point per day. You don't get more than one. You could either get one or you can't, right? So you could look back on your day and say, was I successful today? Did I get my point or did I not get my point? Then over time, you can look back and you're like, shit, I got 20 points in a row. Like now you're building on something, right? But you can't think in an acute mindset and take your day at the pizzeria and be like, this day sucks. My life sucks. It's that day might suck and maybe you didn't get your point, but keep working, man. Show up again tomorrow. You showed up at 9:40 today, show up at 9:30 tomorrow. Keep working. It pays off. It does. No matter what, and that's outside of athletics, no matter what you're doing in life, if you're a musician, no matter what you're doing, keep working. And all hard work pays off. I promise you.
Get that one experience point per day. I want to know, because obviously you were putting in work, you were making connections, even though you weren't where you wanted to be in life. What about some of the habits, man? Because I know a lot of people will be like, all right, I did my hard work today, or, I did this one thing. I sent out one connection request, or I sent one job application. Now I'm just going to be on Netflix for the rest of the day or something. Talk about your work ethic during that time. Because aside from you being a personable guy, aside from you knowing that you were going to have to put your head down and do the work, I know that there were some years of, and still to this day, putting your nose to the grindstone. So how important is work ethic? And then I know everybody's situation is different, but to you, what was that like for you in terms of like recreating a structure for yourself, for you to put in work that was almost taken away by football? You had to recreate your own structure. So I think it would be insightful for a lot of people to hear how you created a structure for yourself.
Yeah. It's wild, right? You go from 10 to, 14, sometimes full weekends completely planned for you. I remember on Thursdays, we'd get the travel roster, we'd get the itinerary from Thursday through Monday. Like we'd have every minute planned. And then you go into a position where that is no longer available, right? So, and this was when I really started to think like I might not ever get my chance in athletics. I ended up, I was splitting time. I was doing the pizzeria at night. I was doing athletics, throughout the day and early morning. Now I'm shifting time over to the pizzeria because I got to make a little more money, and now all of a sudden I'm working so much at the pizzeria and at Stony, but I'm not getting paid at Stony, right? So I'm just interning and I'm working at the pizzeria. Those are the times where you kind of get lazy, right? I'm like, well, I'm making good money right now. Like I know I could send job applications next week. I'm good. Or next month, whatever that future Jerry deals with it. But that's when things get bad, when you stop focusing on grinding, right? So I'd come home. Yes, I grinded for a 12, 14-hour shift, delivering food, doing stuff like that. But you need to look at the big picture and remember that that's a temporary plan. You still need to plan for what you're going to do as a career. You need to send that email, that job application, whatever it may be. And it's tough, right? Like, you brought up a great point. You do, your couple emails and you watch Netflix. Like that's such an easy hole to fall in. And it doesn't have to be Netflix. It could be Xbox, it could, whatever it may be. But you need to make sure you're allocating your time right. So if you put that work in for the day, yeah, you earned your Netflix. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be, and sometimes you have to work more than 8 hours, but 8 hours is a third of your day. If you really work for 8 full hours, you can do whatever you want for the next, before you go to bed, do whatever you want. But 8 hours straight of work, if you're really doing that, yeah, take your release, whatever it may be. I'm not saying drugs and things, but if you want to go, if you got pickup soccer games that are going to be like 4 hours tonight, if you really put 8 hours of work in, go enjoy soccer, man.
Right.
But it's also, if you're not in that position, like I would forget sometimes to send job applications. I would come home and I'd be like, I'm so tired. I'm just going to go to bed before tomorrow's double. And I'm not going to send that email or make that call. It's easy to fall into those traps, but I fall back on football. You have those time management skills. You're able to compartmentalize your life, in a way that you were forced to do it by getting thrown to the fire in the best way possible. Like it was crazy as a freshman, remember? Like it was wild. But then sophomore year, life was so easy. Once you learn it, like once you get everything, it's that structure is even easier than it was before you had it, But yeah, I think it's about doing your work for however long a time that is, and then you need to live your life. We're humans. We're not meant to be here to work 24/7. I think you need to go out and have a life. You need to enjoy the things you enjoy. I stopped playing football. I started playing guitar. Still to this day, I could spend anywhere between 1 and 5 hours in my room, not even knowing what time it is, playing the guitar. And that's one of the best feelings in the world for me. So if you have that, go do it, man. Put the work in during the day, earn it, but then go do that. Go play soccer, go play music, go shoot, whatever it may be that's your release. Do it and live your life. Be Taj. I try to be Jerry. I don't want to be the assistant director of athletic development. Like I want to be Jerry. That's my job title. That's a compartment in my life, but I'm Jerry. Like, I'm Jay Hubs. Like that's me. I'm that human. I have a job that I work. I have things that I do on my free time, and they all come together, but I don't want to be defined as the associate athletic director. It's what I do for a job. But like I said, I connect with teammates. We go skiing for the weekend. Like I do things like that to make sure that I'm fulfilling like my soul almost, and making sure that I'm happy, staying happy mentally.
Right. And that's one of the greatest things about it, Jay Hubs. And that's why I wanted to have you on, man, because it's not about, oh, cool, Jay Hubs is a, assistant AD now. Let's have him on the show so we can hear about that. It's about exactly what you said. That's just one component of what you do, right? Yeah. But the great part about it is that you've been able to blend that into the rest of your life. So essentially, you get to wake up every day and get paid for being yourself, essentially, right? And that's the thing that so many athletes get hung up on is, well, I don't know what I'm going to do career-wise or what I'm going to do for my profession or how I'm going to earn money in a way that doesn't drive me crazy. And the fact that you've been able to do that, that's what's really important, because that's what everyone's looking for. The same reason why you're great at your role, the same reason why this guy I'm working with right now, I told him I don't think that's a good fit for him, and we're exploring other things. And as we start to look at other things, like, you know what, I think I might enjoy that a little bit more. But if he was just leading with, like you said, the status, the job title, the money that comes along with it, then he would have wasted X amount of years pursuing something. So really appreciate you sharing that, man, because that makes a world of difference when you can essentially when you can blur the line between work and play. That's how you end up doing great things in the world, like you said, because it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Look, man, I know that you're focused on what you're doing right now. You said you don't like to look too far into the future, so we don't necessarily have to talk about what's next for Jay Hubs, like what you got on the horizon. But what I do want to know, you can answer that if you want to, but I also want to know, what do you have going on right now? Because last time we spoke, you told me about some exciting initiatives that you're running over there at Hofstra, and I know you're instrumental in those. So maybe you can talk about some of those things and some things that you got coming up, just in terms of the programming and things you're rolling out to serve the student athletes, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of cool things. So there's one, and I'm not spearheading it. Our field hockey assistant coach spearheads it. But like, it's a team effort, and it's called No Locker for Racism. And it's a really cool initiative because I get to use my voice to change the opinions of people who are stuck in a mindset And you know, racism does exist, and it couldn't be any more clear, right? Like it's insane that and it's insane that a human can really judge another human based off the color of their skin. That's all I'll say on the matter, because I think that blows my mind and I can't understand it. But I get to use my not even title, just my platform, and our team gets to use their platform to change those mindsets. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how it's 2020 and I'm convincing someone to please don't not like that person because he looks different. Like what are we talking about? But we have to. Like that's where we are. Generations before us have failed. It's cool to be in a position of power in that aspect. I don't have the ability to change people's minds, but at least I'm trying. And maybe I am making a difference. Maybe I'm not, you know, but I'm not going to think like that. I'm going to think that I am, because like I said, why are we having those conversations right now? Like we should be embracing the fact that I think we're starting to get over this pandemic, right? Like we're starting to come together and I don't know, but I like to think about progress and moving forward. You know what I mean? And like we can't think in these same mindsets. You know, people are people, man. Like nothing makes anyone superior. If you want to talk about certain compartments, you know, work, yes, he has a superior title to him. But like, are we really talking about being a superior human based on what you look like? Like what? But we are, you know. So that's a really cool initiative, and it's cool because it's called No Locker for Racism. We're trying to get racism out of athletics, out of locker rooms, but really we're trying to eliminate it in the world, dude. That's what's cool about this. It's not about athletics. You know, people start to ask questions about it outside of athletics, and now you get to explain and teach and educate. You know, that's really cool, where it's something we're trying to bring on the global scale, as opposed to just, you know, our institution. Trying to spread it around the world. Like, how are we still doing this? But we are. But like I said, it's cool that at least we could use our platforms and our voices to help change. And I don't know if we are. You can't quantify results in something like that. But if you believe you are, and you're continuing to push forward, you're going to make a difference. Whether or not you see results, and that it goes back to what I said, just keep working. You know, keep working at it. I don't care if I'm going to be 70 and I'm still saying Black Lives Matter. Like if I'm 70 and I still need to say it, I'll still say it, because like what, you know, like why are we having this conversation? Like, but if it needs to take 90 years, maybe I'll change one person's mind, and I see that as a success, because it's better than changing no one's mind. And it's better than sitting back and using that like, oh, well, that's how I was raised. That's how people in my area are. I don't care where you come from. There are people who come from a lot worse places, regardless of color or ethnicity. There are people who come from a lot worse places and still come together based on things that have nothing to do with the color of their skin. You know, so I don't care to hear that. And you can't sit back and let it happen. You can't sit back and let comments like that be made. That's where you need to stop them in their tracks and educate. And that's what's cool, because we get to use our platform to educate, man, which is sad that we have to do this, but we're doing it, and it's, you know, it's cool.
Hey man, there's nobody better to be doing it than you, man. You just went in right now. I see you getting worked up over there, man.
It's just like, well, and you know what I saw, I'm pretty sure Coach Hatch is someone retweeted it. Like, if you want to see the best melting pot, look in a football locker room. You know, like, and take color aside, just take bodies. Like, look at different bodies. Look at running backs compared to what linemen look like, compared to what kickers look like, compared to what safeties look like, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you look like you come together. Now, on top of that, there's different colors in the locker room too, right? But everyone is on that same team, and like, you don't think anything of like, I'm not going to have his back because it looks different than me. Like, we're all wearing the same jersey, you know?
Right.
And I thought that was great. And I wish everyone could see an insight, because some people aren't in locker rooms, man. You know, some people have grown up and have never been in a locker room and have never seen a team come together like that. So all they know is maybe their own race, their own color, their own ethnicity. And that's all they know. And they think, you know, maybe these people are like, I don't want to say like infiltrators, but like they're coming and taking, like, that's not how this is, man. The world is ours. The whole world belongs to us humans. Like, it doesn't matter. That's just how it is. This world is ours as humans, regardless of what you look like, regardless of what you come from. This is our world. And it's just, and like, I get worked up because it is sad that we, you know, it's just like Kirk Herbstreit said, like, we just need to do better. There's nothing else I can say. We just need to do better. That's it. And I hope we do. I believe we will. I hope we do, but that's all we can do is just do better.
Jay Hubs, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up with that one, man. We're gonna drop the mic because you just went in for about 5 minutes flat, man. So
yeah, like I
appreciate
said,
you. I mean, the whole interview was just tremendous, man. It was everything I thought it was gonna be and more. And that was a perfect way to wrap it up, man. We left it on the notes where people could really just marinate on everything you just shared. So I appreciate.
I hope someone learned
honesty
something from
right
that
there.
for sure.
Oh, for sure, I did, man. I'm sitting here just listening to you going in, like, you know, that was your version of the "I have a dream" speech right there, man.
Yeah, exactly. But Taj, the issue is like you're not the one who needs to hear me, you know. So like that's great,
Exactly.
you know. It's great, but like you're not the one who needs to hear me. That's the set. Like, of course you agree. We need to say that to people who don't see the bigger picture. You know what I mean, of coming together as humans. But you know, we'll work towards there. We'll get it.
Yes, sir. Well, Jay Hugs, man, I want to be respectful of your time. Please tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, how they can reach out, how they can learn more about some of the things you got going on over there. What's the best place to get in contact with you?
I guess probably just, you know, my email, or my cell phone. Yeah, like I'd love to help, and especially if you're in contact, Taj, with any student athletes or ex-student athletes who just don't know where they want to go and they think about this. I would love to chat with them and just I've only been working in athletics for 5 years. I don't have many answers, but I can just share the story of my journey and just help encourage, you know, like maybe they've been in an internship for a year and nothing's come of it. Well, maybe tomorrow it happens. Maybe next year it happens, but it could be tomorrow, you know? So if anyone needs that encouragement or just wants to chat and learn about athletics, I'd be happy to. So my email is Jerry Hubshman. It's just my name, JerryHubshman @gmail.com. And anyone could hit me up, ask me questions, anything I could do to help. You know, I think, like I said, as humans, we're all in this together. So if there's anything I could do, if I could chat with anyone, I'd love to. And obviously if they're a friend of yours, you know, they're family to me.
That's awesome, man. I bet you're gonna have a lot of people reaching out after this, man. And we will definitely have all that info in the show notes. Jay Hubs, I can't thank you enough again for coming on, man. It's been awesome just reconnecting with you, just to see where you're at in life. It makes me proud to have been able to kick it with you back in the day and, you know, freestyle, hang out at the what was it, Bobcat, over at Bobcat.
Yep.
Man, it brings back memories, man. And just to see where you are today it makes me really proud. And keep doing your thing, bro. We'll be in touch. We'll have to have you back on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man. This is cool. It's cool to talk about subjects like that. So thanks for having me, man, and looking forward to many more future conversations on this level.
Absolutely, brother. We'll talk soon. You have a good one.
All right, you too, Taj. Be good.
All right, peace.